Um, when there was a period of time in European history when there was a growing fascination with the Vedas from European scholars. So there were some persons that went on campaign saying rubbish, and it'll be proven to be rubbish when it comes to those things that are empirical. I mean, there's numbers connected to them. So that's archaeology and cosmology. So that's where Dhruta Karma, for example, got really interested in archaeology. The archaeological evidence doesn't point to, straight on Darwinian evolution. There is, anyway, without going into it, then the other is cosmology. And so it's important in terms of dealing with the people that would poo-poo the Vedas, just on the basis of here's empirical stuff, and so it doesn't match, and so you trash the whole thing because it doesn't match. But it does. And then how to understand the correlation, it's not easy, but those people that have the capacity can understand the correlation, because I've had discussions with people that I don't understand the Vedic picture so well. I don't understand the Western picture so well either. I have to, essentially, here's one thing. Copernicus revolutionized, the world was on the model of a geocentric model. And the geocentric model is from the point of observation. And the numbers work because just the math, when you plug the numbers in differently, and it's just a different equation, you get the same conclusion from a geocentric model. And he said it's no, it's heliocentric. And then he made some estimations about, for example, the distance between the Earth and the Sun. And it was way off, like factors of 15. And then as telescopes and Hubble telescopes, et cetera, got more accurate information, it's now coming close to the Vedic picture. So where the people that didn't have those instruments get those measurements of time and space, but they're very accurate. So the value is the credibility of the Vedic text in all kinds of things that are beyond the senses to perceive or measure. That's the value of it. Besides, it's interesting. I mean, how does time work? We see its action. How does it work? The Vedas tell us. It's not easy because it's subtle.
I mean, I could probably waste the rest of the time of your presentation going deeper into this, but thank you. That was really, it gives me a lot of school for thought of how I could, go deeper in the subject matter. And it is amazing that the calculations match everything.
Yeah. And it's, up to modern time. Here's one that someone, I just read it, so I take their word for it. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration did their calculation that there was a lunar eclipse in West Bengal exactly between this minute and that minute, which is, according to our Vedic picture, when Lord Chaitanya appeared. There was actually a full lunar eclipse. They have some way of calculating that, I don't know. What NASA knew what's going on in West Bengal so many years ago, I don't know. But they have a way of calculating things. So the astronomy works both ways. So your main point was that so people don't take this as silly. I spent a couple of days asking the question about Rahu, because somebody asked about Rahu. Atlanta, they have a Bhakti program there, and they want to know what's going on with Rahu. Is it fiction or is it real? And if it's real, then how come it doesn't say anything about this in Western astronomy? So that, if you remind me, because I will forget unless you remind me, I'll send you the findings that I came up with, but that they actually match. Goes by different names, but it matches. In simple language. There's a model and there's terminology that goes with the model, but they match. Now, one of the persons I asked was Hunter Greek, the person who was narrating this. But there's other persons I also asked. But I'll send you the document. And I want you can send it to other people. And I'll let you read it. But it's not mythology.
No, it's not what you call mythology because you can plug in these, because this model actually can effectively predict very relevant things like
Yes.
moonrises, sunrises,
Everything.
So many time cycles that happen and
Yes.
so on.
Yes. Anyone else?
Just quickly for my own verification,
Sure.
the Gaia tree, and what we just saw was that the upper planetary system, what visually, is that what Om Lord Buddha Vastaha?
Yes.
Is that what that
Yes.
is in?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, those are the first, let's do this slowly. 14, 7 upper, 7 lower makes 14. And the bottom of the upper, where we are, is Bhu Mandala. Bhu means earth. Bhu Devi, earth. Then above is Svarga, the Bhuvar Loka. He said it quickly, but I'll repeat it. It's a region, it's in between us and the heavenly realm. And the in-between region is the planets where Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Apsaras, etc. reside. So they're not demigods, they're assistants of the demigods, but they're higher beings than earthly beings. And then there's the heavenly realm, Svarga, so Gayatri, Bhur, Bhuvar, Svar, or Svarga, heaven. Then above that, there's 4 more. He didn't depict it, he said it's just simple, just showed like little discs. But if you want to know more about them, Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Brihat Bhagavatamrita. It's translated by the BBT, or translated by Gopi Pranadhana, printed by the BBT. And it's a description of, part 2 is a description of a young cowherd boy who has powers from his mantra chanting, and he's able to visit these places. What's it like there? It's not just a travel log, but he has his encounters, and we get a sense of what goes on there. What are the residents, what do they do?
So if it's in this life or the next life, if you are able to break samsara, you elevate to these levels?
No,
Is
you
that,
go beyond those levels.
okay.
You go beyond the coverings of the universe into what's beyond the coverings of the universe. There's more to be said, but it depends on the consciousness. So your question was, if you break samsara, then what happens? You don't go to those places, because those are places where birth and death occur. Those higher planets. Up to even Brahmaloka, that birth and death occur. Then beyond the shell of the covering of the universe, there's regions beyond the shell. If you remember, it said there's Shadashila Loka, then there's Mahavishnu, that expands universes. And then on the other side of that is the spiritual sky. Do it again. You're looking a little like, what?
Well,
Let me say it.
Vedic astrology has always been somewhat confusing to
But
me.
this is not a Vedic astrology. Do you know Brahma Samhita? You heard that? Devi.
What's the etymology or what's the
The phrase that says Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That phrase at the end.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. There's a verse, I'll say it slowly. You've heard of Goloka. Krishna's planet in the spiritual sky.
Okay.
Goloka. Goloka Namni. By the name Goloka, Goloka Namni, Nijadami. Nija means his own. Nijadami. Goloka is Krishna's abode. And below Krishna's abode, Goloka Namni, Nijadami, Tale means the surface. Tale Chatasya. Then it goes Devi Dham, that's this place. Mahesh Dham, Mahesh is the name of Lord Shiva. And then Haridham is Vaikuntha. So there are these three regions. Devi Dham, that's where we are. So your question was people that break samsara. Above that, Mahesh Dham. Above that, Haridham. Above that, Goloka Dham. That's the verse in Brahma Samhita. It's not like the details, it's just categories. So 4 regions where we are. One of those, what we saw, the planetarium, one of that's some of that stuff. And then beyond that is Mahesh Dham, the abode of Lord Shiva, Mahesh. Above that, Vaikuntha, Narayana, Lakshmi Narayana, Vaikuntha planets. And then above that, the topmost in that region is Goloka Dham. So 4. So breaking samsara means going beyond the Devi Dham part, the first one.
Thank you.
Okay, yes?
Hi, Krishna. This is more of a mundane question maybe, but we were talking about how, we're not this body, that who am I? I'm the soul, but I'm in this body. And
Yes, yes.
whole thing. So, a lot of devotees, including myself, I talk to that have different, material health kind of problems, and that they've gotten from their karma or, from their past actions or things that have just come like this.
Yeah,
And so these things can be quite distracting, like on a daily basis.
yeah.
So there's also, I've been kind of trying to not intellectualize it too much, but there's also the idea of, knowing that everything that's in my path is helping me to bring me closer to Krishna, and it's the best thing that will help me to surrender more if I can approach it in a, humble kind of meditative way. But then it also requires an immense amount of faith to be fully on that boat of like everything is happening for, and everything will work out without me wanting to be the doer and change everything and get that immediate like change that I want or that immediate action. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yes, I got the picture. Now, where's the punchline?
So basically, like when these material problems are around and they're distracting, do you go for the shastras and the prayer? Do you go for the material help in terms of like Ayurveda or something like this? Or do you do both? Like where do you go?
Well, you have to do both.
How do you know?
How do you know? That's,
Yeah.
you know from, if if you know Krishna, then you know. And if you know those that know Krishna, then you know.
I don't know right now.
You can then you be like me, or I know that I don't know. So we discussed this a little bit today. No, yesterday. The 4 keys, but part of the requirement. One of the keys was acceptance, and then when you live your life, 2 things. When you live your life in the atmosphere of goodness, and so you do what you need to do for your health and your well-being and the holistic picture of wellness, and at the same time you're cultivating your shelter taking in Krishna at the same time. So it's not the either or, which do I do? You time management wise, you take responsibility for the condition, because the body belongs to Krishna and you want to use it in Krishna's service as you can to your capacity. So you do things that are going to help you use the body in Krishna's service to your capacity. So Ayurveda, or something that you have faith in, that you find there's some result. And at the same time, you cultivate bhakti. Now, I know people, as I'm sure some of the rest of us in the room, know some persons that have one chronic after another chronic after another chronic after another chronic, and even when one goes, then there's another one, then there's another one. And they just have, it's frustrating, and they learn to live with it within the ups and the downs of health. They do what they need to do for their health, and sometimes it's worse, sometimes it's a little more normal. And you think that it's acceptance and then progress. The spiritual progress is the most important, but you don't put the other one to the side. You do the best you can with the resources that are available to you for your physical and mental well-being, and stay focused on the spiritual well-being. With faith that this is, the body and the mind are temporary anyways. You're using them as best you can in service to Krishna, and they're temporary in any case. So that we make the best use of the temporary situation in a responsible, conscientious way. And you might want to have some conversation with people that are like you, that have some chronic health and doesn't stop. Devotees in particular, that understand how to handle it wisely. There are some devotees that I know that doesn't stop. And they learn, they're very Krishna conscious persons. Okay. We're done. Okay. So I brought with me a little bit of Mahaprasada.